The untold truth about King Solomon. Solomon was a beloved king, but with an unpleasant history. The Bible is a complete and impartial book that does not try to shield us from the imperfections of our heroes of faith. It is hard to think of kings remembered fondly in the Bible without including Solomon. He will always be remembered as a king who loved God so much that he offered 1,000 burnt offerings, asked for wisdom, and shone with such uncommon understanding that he brought peace and ended wars, as reported in 1 Kings chapter 3, verses 3 to 14. Solomon demonstrated his love for the Lord by following the instructions given to him by his father David. He also offered sacrifices and burned incense in high places. The king went to Gibeon to offer sacrifices because it was the most important high place. There, Solomon offered 1,000 burnt offerings on the altar of Gibeon. That night the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream and said, "Ask what you wish for me to give you." Solomon replied, "You have shown great kindness to your servant, my father David, because he was faithful to you, just and upright in heart. You have continued this great kindness by giving him a son to sit on his throne to this day. Now, Lord my God, you have made your servant king in place of my father David. But I am only a young child and do not know how to act. Behold, I am among your chosen people, so numerous that they cannot be counted or numbered. Therefore give your servant an understanding heart to govern your people and to discern between good and evil, for who can govern this great people of yours?" The Lord was pleased with Solomon's request and said, "Since you have asked for this and not for riches, long life, or the death of your enemies, but for discernment in administering justice, I will do what you have asked. I will give you a wise and discerning heart so that there has never been anyone like you, nor will there be in the future. Moreover, I will give you what you did not ask for, riches and honor, so that in your lifetime you will have no equal among kings. And if you walk in obedience to me and keep my decrees and commands, as David your father did, I will give you a long life." Solomon became famous for his popularity due to his depth of knowledge and solutions. He wrote some of the best-known books of the Bible, such as Ecclesiastes, Song of Songs, and Proverbs, which are full of wisdom. In these books he wrote many wise words, quotes, songs, and proverbs that are so profound that we still explore them today. Examples of these pearls of wisdom are Proverbs chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. "My son, pay attention to my wisdom. Turn your ear to my words of insight, so that you may maintain discretion and your lips may preserve knowledge." Proverbs chapter 9, verse 10. "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and knowledge of the Holy One is understanding." Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verses 1 and 11. "There is a time for everything, and a season for every activity under the heavens. He has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity in the human heart, yet no one can fathom what God has done from beginning to end." Solomon was a wise man who was hard to ignore and easy to love. So many people came from far and near to seek his wisdom, wealth, or advice, as described in 1 Kings chapter 10, verses 1 to 18. When the Queen of Sheba heard about his fame, she came to Jerusalem to verify the stories circulating about his wisdom. Solomon's fame and his relationship with the Lord reached the ears of the Queen of Sheba, who came to test him with difficult questions. She arrived in Jerusalem with a large caravan of camels, loaded with spices, large quantities of gold, and precious stones. When she met Solomon, she discussed everything on her mind. Solomon answered all her questions. Nothing was too hard for the king to explain. When the Queen of Sheba saw all Solomon's wisdom, the grandeur of the palace he built, the food on his table, the seating of his officials, the attending servants in their robes, the cupbearers, and the burnt offerings he made at the Lord's temple, she was overwhelmed. She said to the king,
The report I heard in my own country about your achievements and your wisdom is true. But I did not believe these things until I came and saw with my own eyes. Indeed, not even half was told me. In wisdom and wealth, you have far exceeded the report I heard. How happy your people must be. How happy your officials who continually stand before you and hear your wisdom. Praise be to the Lord your God, who has delighted in you and placed you on the throne of Israel. Because of the Lord's eternal love for Israel, he has made you king to maintain justice and righteousness. She gave the king 120 talents of gold, large quantities of spices and precious stones.
Never again were so many spices brought in as those the Queen of Sheba gave to Solomon. Hiram's ships brought gold from Ophir, and from there they brought great cargoes of almug wood and precious stones. The king used the almug wood to make supports for the temple of the Lord and for the royal palace, and to make harps and lyres for the musicians. So much almug wood has never been imported or seen since that day. King Solomon gave the Queen of Sheba all she desired and asked for, besides what he had given her out of his royal bounty. Then she left and returned with her retinue to her own country, the 10 tribes to you. But for the sake of my servant David and the city of Jerusalem, which I have chosen out of all the tribes of Israel, he will have 1 tribe. I will do this because they have forsaken me and worshipped Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Sidonians, Chemosh, the god of Moab, and Molech, the god of the Ammonites, and have not walked in obedience to me, nor done what is right in my eyes, nor kept my decrees and laws as David, Solomon's father, did. But I will not take the whole kingdom out of Solomon's hand. I have made him ruler all the days of his life, for the sake of David my servant, whom I chose because he kept my commands and statutes. However, I will take the kingdom from his son's hands and give you 10 tribes. I will give 1 tribe to his son, so that David my servant may always have a lamp before me in Jerusalem, the city where I chose to put my name. Yet I will not take the whole kingdom from him, but will make him ruler all the days of his life, for the sake of David my servant, whom I chose and who obeyed my commands and statutes. But I will take you, and you will rule over all that your heart desires. You will be king over Israel. And if you do whatever I command you, and walk in obedience to me, and do what is right in my eyes, by obeying my decrees and commands, as David my servant did, I will be with you. I will build you a dynasty as enduring as the one I built for David, and will give Israel to you. I will humble David's descendants because of this, but not forever. Solomon tried to kill Jeroboam, but Jeroboam fled to Egypt to Shishak the king, and stayed there until Solomon's death. Today, Solomon is remembered, not just for his wisdom, but also for his flaws and the consequences of his actions. His story serves as a reminder of the importance of obedience to God and the perils of letting worldly temptations derail one's devotion and commitment to the Lord.